Let's bring you more now on one family's battle to use cannabis oil for medicinal reasons. The mother of a 12-year-old boy with severe epilepsy says he must have pulled on the heartstrings of the Home Office after his cannabis oil treatment was returned to him today, along with a special licence to administer it. Billy Caldwell had been rushed to hospital suffering from several seizures. His medication had been confiscated earlier in the week as his family attempted to bring it into the country. Jon Liebling, Political Director at United Patients Alliance, joins us now from Thailand. Jon, many thanks for being with us. And first and foremost, your response to the Home Office granting that temporary special licence for young Billy.
Well, I think there's two aspects to the response. Firstly, absolutely and utterly delighted, both for Charlotte and for Billy, that finally he's been granted his vital life-saving medicine back. But I think the other aspect is this really should never have happened in the first place, and really quite clearly illustrates that we shouldn't have civil servants and ultimately the Home Office making what is a medical decision on behalf of a critically ill patient. It shouldn't be in the Home Office. It should be with the Health Department.
Isn't it the case, however, that in the case of Billy, his GP had been prescribing it here in the United Kingdom, but then was told by both the Department of Health and the General Medical Council, actually, you can't prescribe that because technically it's illegal?
Well, that's correct. And in fact, the UK, as far as I'm aware, is the only country in the world that actually makes it a criminal act for a doctor to prescribe cannabis. The first prescription that was written for Billy managed to pass through for whatever reason. And for about 13 months, Billy had been stabilised on the right medicine for him, and when another prescription had to be issued, that's when it stopped. And the implication of that was Billy's anti-epileptic medication was stopped suddenly, and this is against medical protocol, and could have actually done him some quite serious harm.
Clearly, the family and indeed the GP of young Billy felt that the drug was working for him in that case. But in terms of the general empirical evidence, I mean, there's plenty of anecdotal evidence about the benefits of cannabis. But in terms of the empirical evidence, I mean, where are we in the United Kingdom when it comes to using cannabis oil for treating severe epileptic fits?
Well, I mean, in actual fact, there's a huge amount of evidence, including double-blind test clinical trials from all over the world. The problem is in the UK, it's been incredibly difficult for anybody to do any research due to its illegal status. One of our trustees, Professor Mike Barnes, who's a consultant neurologist in the UK and practicing consultant, he did a review of the 20,000 of the world's best studies, the evidence is there for chronic pain, for nausea and vomiting, from chemotherapy, for anxiety, for PTSD. We've got more than enough evidence than perhaps we have for drugs that are already on the market. The doctors write prescriptions for all the time, and I think it's about time that our politicians started to pay more than scant attention to this evidence that's actually there. It's there right now, and we estimate that within the UK there are anything up to around 1 million people who are consuming cannabis on a regular basis because it helps them manage a condition.
Do you think that to an extent, despite the fact that there are certainly politicians within the Houses of Parliament, the House of Commons, the House of Lords, that would want to see a change like this, they are to an extent limited by the fact that most governments over the past few years, despite what they say in opposition, tend to view it as electoral suicide to even start talking about decriminalising cannabis, even before we get to talking about legalising it for specific medical purposes?
Well, I mean, this is one of the problems. I mean, when we're looking at our law on drugs, we have a tendency to dive straight into, oh my God, what's going to happen to the world if we legalise cannabis for adult use? But the fact is, when we're looking at medicines, when we're looking at people with chronic conditions who are already, subjected to taking existing authorized drugs that have the most incredible side effects. Specifically when you look at the amount of opiates that we use in this country and all over the world, the side effects absolutely dreadful. And the fact is, when you look at cannabis, not only can it be really, really effective, it also actually carries an awful lot less harmful side effects than those other drugs that we're expecting patients to be able to take. And so, I think it helps, certainly in this case, to separate out those two issues and not spend a lot of our time arguing about the legalization of drugs when we're discussing whether patients should have access to an effective medication that improves their lives.
Jon Liebling from the United Patients Alliance, many thanks for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.